Hey everyone, welcome to MT Guitar. Hope you're doing well. Really excited for today's lesson on easy blues phrasing, which is really important, and everyone should practice the blues. It's super important. You know, I'm a huge fan of the blues because for guitar, it's sort of the starting point for a lot of vocabulary and a lot of phrasing, right? It's also a great place to explore scales and get your improvisation going, right? It's a wonderful vehicle for improvisation. You can never go wrong just playing some blues vocabulary and getting that, more comfortable. So, my job is to make it easier for you if you're more of a beginner or intermediate in this video. And instead of piling on, thousands of notes and scales, which is possible on the blues because you can go really complex, instead we're going to do the more simple route with this video and say, let's assume that you already know the minor pentatonic. And I do have lessons on the pentatonic scale. It's incredibly important. But let's say, okay, you've got A minor pentatonic. And you're playing an A blues. And the three chords in an A blues would be A7, D7, E7. If you looked at the 12-bar blues, right, you'd have A7 for a bar. Let's say you go to D7 for a bar. That's the 4 chord. Back to the 1 chord for 2 bars. Then we'll do the 4 chord for 2 bars, D7. Back to the 1 chord for 2 bars. Now as a turnaround, E7 or 5, 4 chord, 1 chord, and then 5 chord. Alright, memorize that 12-bar blues, really important. So, you could play A minor pentatonic for the entire 12-bar blues, and that would be fine. However, we can just add one note, the flat 5, and all of a sudden we have the blues scale, the minor blues scale, right? Now, most people are aware of that, even if they're more beginner, intermediate. That's pretty common knowledge. So, what I'd love to do is to take you a step further in this lesson. So the blues scale would be that minor pentatonic with a flat 5. And before we race on ahead to anything else, it's really important to understand that there's a difference between playing the scale up and down with every note and playing some phrases, right? Some blues phrases. Let's start with that. It's really powerful stuff if we just focus on even 2 or 3 strings at a time. Let's say we focus on the 4th and 3rd strings of that scale. What we can do is we can say, all right, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 5 notes. Okay? And what we can do is basically say, what can we do to make this more of a singable phrase or like a melody or like a blues singer or something that's more like a sentence, like a phrase, as opposed to just a scale? We can add hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, bends, and vibratos. All right? So, that's a lot. Let me start with hammer-ons. Now pull-offs. Let me put the backing track on. Little slide. Little vibrato. I'm only sticking to 2 strings, right? I'm hammering on, I'm pulling off, and I'm sliding. And you can't do this too much. I mean, it'll just really take a few notes and take them a long way. That's true with, combining the positions. If I know that this position exists of the minor pentatonic, and I know that this position exists, I can combine those 2 positions. Just with a few notes, okay? By the way, there'll be a study guide and tab for this lesson on the Patreon. You're welcome to check that out. Also, remember to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and the thumbs up. Even the best players, a lot of times, will just throw out some really simple phrases with a certain level of soul or expression, right? And that's kind of all we need. So, hammer, vibrato, bend. Let's bend the 7th fret 3rd string. Now I'm going to pull off to the 5th fret 3rd string. And that's just right there. It's a nice phrase. Now I'm going to slide up to the flat 5 and then back to the 4. Pull off and bend. Let's hear it with the backing track. Hammer-on. Slight bend. Pull off and vibrato. Just hammer-ons. Slides. Buddy Guy would do concerts, he probably still does this all the time, but when I saw him, he would do this and then wave to the crowd. So this is just like Blues 101. You gotta get hammer-ons, pull-offs, bends, slides, vibratos. I know I'm using an acoustic, so you might be wondering, how do you bend in an acoustic? Well, you gotta love the pain of bending, which is what I love. But it's not for everybody, but just slight bends. You don't need anything crazy. You do have a wound G string on an acoustic, right? So you're not going to be able to bend like you would on an electric. But we can get little bends, little vibratos to get the expression going. So those are just a few phrases with 2 strings of one shape, of one scale, right? It's sort of endless, but I'm just sort of getting you going. Let's take the next 2 strings. Right, we've got the first 2 strings. So there was a bend to a pull off to a vibrato. Pull off, bend, vibrato. Now I can combine all 4 strings. Let's try some backing track here. Now, obviously that's just one area, right? We can slide all around to other positions, and that's what I recommend you do. Hammer-ons and pull-offs are going to make your life a little easier because you don't have to play every note with the right hand. And also, they add expression, and they're sort of automatically going to be a little bit more connected because when you hammer on and pull off, there's no gap between the notes, and that's called legato. Okay, now let's get into a little bit more of the theory. If I say, well, we have 3 chords in a 12-bar blues, at least in the type we're covering. You should memorize a 12-bar blues because you want to be able to play it on a moment's notice, just to warm up or play with some friends, or to practice these scales, right? So, memorize that as quick as you can, right? And let's notice that one thing really important change, a few things important change, but if I go from an A7 to a D7, let's highlight the 2nd string, right? Because I'm going to show you this new scale. Look at this 8th fret 2nd string on the A7. Now it goes to 7th fret on a D7. So if we highlight that one change from 8th fret to 7th fret, we can change that note when it goes to D7 to have this sort of minor pentatonic variation. And it's really cool, and I can't believe I didn't think of it in this way before. So I'm going to play minor blues every time there's an A7, but every time there goes to a D7 or a 4 chord, I'm just going to take the flat 7, which is 8th fret 2nd string, and move it to a 6 or 7th fret 2nd string, and keep all the notes the same. I'm going to take out the flat 5, just minor pentatonic, and just move that flat 7 down a fret. And it's a really cool sound. So I'm going to show you what it sounds like here. So I'll kind of call it out as we go, starting with A minor blues. Now that altered thing. Now back to the the E chord, we can do E minor pentatonic. And then, you know, turnaround might be a little tough for a beginner, but we're going to do E minor pentatonic. And then to the D7, we'll do back to the variation of the minor pentatonic, and then the blues scale. All right, so let's do the whole thing. Here we go. 3. Isn't that nice? Here comes the turnaround. So we took one note, the flat 7, in both octaves, and we moved it down a fret for the D7. For the E7, we just did a nice little minor pentatonic there for E. So basically what I recommend is, if you're new to the blues, really start to work on hammer-ons, pull-offs, vibrato, slide, and bend. And I will have dedicated videos for each, I'm sure, as time goes on. But this is sort of a starter kit. Then when you get that going, go ahead and alter that one note of the A minor pentatonic scale. It's this 5th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the 5th note, or the flat 7. Flat 7 of A, right? Then you take it down to the 6. 1/2 step. And then, you know, you're sort of now addressing the chord changes. So hopefully that makes sense. I know this can be a lot all at once, but it's something to work on and enjoy. It's really important with the blues to start improvising as soon as you can, because that will develop your vocabulary for all styles. All right? So check out the tab on the Patreon and the study guide, and remember to subscribe, and we'll see you next lesson. Bye.